What's up, everybody? It's Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week. Oh, I've already done that. So, what am I doing today? Oh, well, I know what I'm doing today. I'm doing a review of Bring the Pain for the past year, and I'm thanking all of you for another year in the books. First off, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all my Painbringers, to all my fans, the ones who even the ones who don't like and don't share. I know that y'all watch, and I thank you for at least watching because every time you watch, every time you do something, you only help make this podcast become more than it's become. You make it become bigger and stronger. You allow me to have options like what I'm going to talk about today to hopefully make more podcasts and episodes about, different topics, have different people on, and not be scared to ask somebody to come on, whether a price be high or a price be free. And that's really the game of the podcast. A lot of people won't do things without, you know, you giving them money. And to do something for free, I totally, totally thank every one of my guests that I've had on this year and all of the stuff that I've talked about. So why don't we just get right to it right here? Let's talk about the Heat Overrides, Bring the Pain, year in review. Woo wee! Look, I know that I'm a crazy, crazy dude. And then I know that a lot of my podcasts, especially the sports podcasts, are high octane, tons of energy. I don't stop talking. Sometimes I don't take breaths. I mean, do I? Do I really? I don't know if I really do. But what I do know is that I do all of it for all of you, whether it be my hard hits and cool picks podcast, the Bring the Pain podcast, the Ultra Contrarian podcast, or any of my articles, my IDP Heats of the Week, and of course, my hard hits and cool picks article. And during baseball season, my Sunday write ups, I say thank you. I do all of this because of my friend Dr. Roto. And because of that reason, it makes me work even harder to be different than everybody in the industry that already is practically the same can be hard. There's a ton of people that I don't know about that I know about that all kind of do about the same thing, adding their own niche. And the thing that I do is I bring a high intensity to it. The reason why I bring a high intensity to all my podcasts is to show you how passionate I am about giving you the content that I want to deliver. That is simply put. And yes, I could sit here for hours like a bore and talk about numbers or this and that. But the thing is I've already done that behind the scenes. And that I feel that that's better read through an article or on a website or information taken from a website than trying to hear information while you're trying to say clean a toilet or file that last fax paper that you have to get sent over to the courthouse or say that you have a job review that you had to get in, so that you can get that nice big raise that you've been looking for, working so hard this year in 2023 for. It is the same thing that I'm doing for all of you. And that's what makes me and drives all of us at Dr. Roto, but also myself. When I wrote for free for over 10 years, I did it because I wanted to become a passion. But I also knew that if I did not write, that I would not have the skills to go forward. I'd have to learn how to write. And being at drroto.com has allowed me to work with editors from Ted and Chris, and then, of course, with my content producer, Danger, and then throwing ideas between Ted and Doc so many different times, and them just honestly loving everything that I come up with. That's what team structure is about. That is why we do so well at Dr. Roto. It's because that we're never pressured only to just, hey, get the article done by this time. And there's nothing ever absurdly put on us by Doc. Doc is a working man just like the rest of us. And he understands that in going into this company, that's exactly what he wanted. He knew he wasn't getting any full-time DFS people at all the time. But what he knew he was getting was part-time DFS people that have a passion outside of life, and on top of having great families and watching sports, wrestling together, WWE pay-per-views, going to music events, whether it be a concert or say you are the music event, you're a musician, and that you go and you play your guitar, drums, sing in front of thousands of millions or just a few hundred people. No matter what your audience size is, always try to do best by them. Over the past 2 months, I've seen a growth in in my podcast. And I seen it starting last year, but unfortunately, because by the time it became between football in baseball, and I got so busy just doing things with the fam, spring cleanup and stuff. I didn't do a lot of podcasts until this football season. I lost a lot of people, and that is my fault 100. I totally understand that I didn't give enough consistent content during that time. Like football season, I do give a heck of a lot of consistent content. Everything from IDP being the IDP hero to, the Ultra Contrarian Show. And just trying to make sure that each week I give you the very contrarian lineup that's scoring points. In the past, I didn't do that. Each year, I build on my podcast, I build on my write ups. I try to make more and I try to go in more depth and make it the least amount of time in your days possible with shorter podcasts rather than long podcasts. Now, that being said, let's get over to the edgy content that I got coming. So back in the day, Bring the Pain was a more edgier podcast. I literally brought the pain almost any time during the week, whether it been about, music, it would have been about politicians, it would have been about someone's, comment, or just, certain viruses in particular, getting those going. And for that, I put out the product that I thought was best. I warned people. I talked about, I found an imaginary town that's an actual real town, Shelby, Montana. I've done all that over the past few years, but it's led to this point. And again, I thank all of you for listening to it. So going forward, a lot of my edgier content will be on my subscribers only. For a small fee right now, the fee is only $2 a month. You're going to get extra podcasts, special podcasts, events. And if you get over to Bring the Pain on Facebook, you can definitely like that page, join up, rate me, get something going there so that you're active. So when I do events and I do subscriber only events, that you could be part of that you can win something. You never know. I can put up a whole month DFS package for Dr. Roto. And that would definitely help you for a month because then that just gives you free money. It gives you time that you can actually, plan over your fantasy football team. Say you won a free month for July. By the time August comes and you're ready for all of your drafts, you are already tuned in and ready to bring the pain to any draft that you want. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Yes, sometimes I'm crazy, but if you've been a true Bring the Pain fan and you went back and you've listened to all of my interview podcasts, you'll see that. Now, the interviews, the special interviews, the ones that I may have to fork out some cash for, all right, got to pony out that money, yeah, right? Those episodes are definitely going to be on the subscribers only. And then that way I can use that money to help pay for those people going into the future. So I can get people on, like if you guys want somebody on, but they want to charge $1,000, I'm going to need 500 hits so that I can get this person in. I understand that it's saying, hey, give this podcast money so that I can get bigger and badder. Yet that's everybody's concept. But me, I don't care if you want that or if you want the free content or if you want the football content and you're only a fan during the football season. I'm happy that all of you here. So during the football season, off season, leading into baseball season, because again, I do DFS for Dr. Roto during baseball season, you will see that I will bring things up and that I will talk about, baseball and my plays that week. But you got to stay tuned. You got to check out my Sunday write-ups, and you get those only at drroto.com. And and also all of my things that make me a jerk content will be on my subscribers only. So if you want to get a laugh at least once a week and you got things that make me a jerk and you want, and you go there, you get your laugh, you cure your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and you get to the weekend and you have yourself a nice cold beer or just sit back and read the newspaper, whatever you do, have an orange juice, maybe a coffee. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah. Then you will have everything. By the way, let's talk about that. Let's get to one of our sponsors of the show, a guy that I've been talking with. He will be the first interview that I will talk about. Right now, get to Naga's Charm Coffee. You've got everything from a Bali Bliss, which is exquisite, a dark coffee that tastes like a medium. You're going to put this coffee down your palate and you're going to say, why does this taste so smooth, so light? And maybe you like a dark roast, but guess what? You get the dark roast power in the taste of a medium, and you will be drinking that coffee all day. That's why you got to get the Naga's Charm Coffee on Facebook, on the website, also at nagascharmcoffee.com. Head over there, check out the site, see the pictures, look at everything from your caffeinated elixir to your caffeinated cloud. Man, I'm telling you right now, the caffeinated cloud brewed on a nice Saturday, sunny morning will make you feel like life has stopped and the only thing that exists is you in that charming cup of coffee. Oh, yeah. Check it out. Let's get to the interviews. Chris from Naga's Charm Coffee. That episode was amazing. I found out things I didn't know, like from Chris's minute missionary work to how he was able to put all this together to make Naga's Charm Coffee. Making his coffee more than, hey, I just started a coffee business and I roast my own coffee, to it took his coffee business a level because it means it's got something, it's got heart. Every time Chris buys the bean from either the people he helped or the people he knows, that the people that he worked with, that he did missionary help with, work with him, he knows that that money's going back into that village. And that village might not even be a village. It might be a few huts of a few people taking care of a coffee field that he was able to run across and with his support are able to live. We in the United States of America have all the luxury of being able to walk down the street and apply for almost any type of job we do. A lot of people outside of the United States don't have that liberty. When they walk down the street, it's just the next coffee plantation. So you have to do good with where you're at to make the most money and try to sell your bean. And Chris buys those beans, and Chris does a great job. And it was great to hear everything. Plus, he's a heck of a fighter. He fights for our TKO team. You know, TKO Erie, always bring the pain. Oh, yeah. And go to tournaments and have fun in that family environment. That's what Chris became part of. And becoming part of that and introducing coffee to me at that time when I first met him only made me want to support him only more because of the time he puts into the team, the time that he puts into finding this bean, the time that he has put to change people's lives is amazing. Check out that episode, Naga's Charm Coffee. You'll find it. Just scroll on down. Let's talk about another one I did actually on the same day. And it was Alex from a VGM Journey. He lives in my own hometown of Erie, Pennsylvania, and he makes a whole podcast dedicated to video game music. He keeps it nice and short. He keeps it, most episodes around 25, 30 minutes, and then some of the special episodes, just like what he did right recently. So he did like a Santa episode where everybody, all the VGM guys that are in his room, in his Discord, we all gifted a song to each other. So I was gifted a Saturday Night Slam Master song, which is totally awesome, man. Thanks to the last weekend on that one. And, I dedicated a song to a guy that was part of making a cat RPG game. So what did I do? I went and found a cat RPG that's pretty popular so that he, is familiar with. And I dedicated a song to him from that. Now, that doesn't mean that I actually played that game or anything like that. It's just the things that we do. And that's, brings in the thing of why we love that community at the VGM Journey. Alex has, and he goes by the Messenger on there. He has done so much to bring so many of these different people in, everybody from Martist and, his VGM, which is pretty much remixing the video game music. He'll play like a regular song, and then he'll play like somebody else's off the internet's remix version of it that he's just trying to get people to go to those channels. If you enjoy VGM and you like that, you'll want to definitely check out a VGM Journey by the Messenger. It's awesome. I had him on. You can listen to the podcast that I did with him, and we just talk about video games and good times. And heck, next time me and him are going to have to talk hockey because we like some hockey, and I know we like some football. So let's get to it. Oh, yeah. Show me that Super Nintendo sound. Do. Ha ha. Yeah. Let's talk about another guy. 12 Gauge, Mr. 12 Gauge himself, Rocky Shaw of the 12 Gauge Uncut podcast. Right now, Rocky is recovering from a big surgery. So he hasn't been on the air for a minute, but Rocky, it was cool to actually talk with Rocky. He's a wrestler from Georgia, and also being a Bulldog fan, because I'm a Penn State fan. We are Penn State, hearing about his love for his sports and his love for wrestling, and just being able to sit back and talk about wrestling with him, and him, weighing in during the interview, again, weighing in using his expertise throughout the mats in different spots of why things happen. Say I said a bold statement and he goes, hey, Rob, Heat, that's why this happens and stuff like that. Sometimes I don't know all of the inside games or why they go or why I like to botch. So at that time, we had talked about the SummerSlam preview and how the triple threat girls match kind of just felt like it got out of hand. And he said they just weren't on the same page. And when you go back and you watch that match, with Charlotte and Bianca, you could see that they were kind of just really off. So it made more sense to me to understand that rather than just look at it and say I hated the match, right? So Rocky did a lot of that. And on top of that, Rocky is just a great dude individual. All his interviews that he did with a lot of the wrestlers from Georgia and surrounding promotions in Georgia was great. Everything from the stunts they pulled, like, right after wrestling or right before wrestling to get it to just having people on through a talk and then having me on his show and one day him on my show so that we can talk wrestling and we could definitely get together and bring the pain and talk about the 12 gauge uncut. Oh, yeah, but you definitely want to get there. And again, all these podcasts I'm talking about are found on any of your podcast streaming services. For right now, I listen to a lot of my podcasts on Podbean. However, there's Spreaker, there's Apple Podcasts, there's iHeart Podcast. There's so many different things. Not everybody gets on those podcasts. You can find Bring the Pain almost anywhere. They have all proved Bring the Pain because they know that they want to bring the pain. And the only way you can bring the pain is by having the podcast that is the only podcast that is licensed to bring the pain. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about my other interview I had during the year. I interviewed a really close friend, my boy Brian B. He goes by B Reckless. That's his rap name. You can check him out on SoundCloud. He does a lot of his raps there. And then you can find him on Facebook too. It seems like every day he'll just bust a rap all day, every day, 4 times a day, 2 times a day, once a day, sometimes 10 times a day. He puts raps on there. He just wants to rap. He decided to make a podcast for a few minutes. And right now he loves just writing on the internet. That's what he loves to do. But you can still check out a lot of his work on SoundCloud. When he came on, we talked more than just about what he's done with his rap schools and all the little differences and then having different music. Because I played a couple songs on there that he had not heard before. Songs that have been remixed by a mutual friend of ours, our buddy DJ Chaos. Yeah, Chaos, man. Yeah. And, that really, really, really made it exciting for us to talk about that and talk about our childhood growing up. Everything from rapping together to where me never shutting up, honestly, and going forward and making a career out of my podcasting. Look, that is what the support is all about. When you support other people's podcasts, whether it be their coffee, whether it be their podcast, whether it's also, like my wife and her Bling You Crazy, her paparazzi business. She does a lot for her paparazzi customers, and she gets a lot of support from me and the people. People eventually do move on, but that's why we're always looking for new people, new angles, and new supports. That's why if you go to Bring the Pain on Twitter, or if you go to Bring the Pain on Facebook, you can find me on there on Twitter, on the X, whatever you want to call it, at Heat Override. You will see that we're putting out the content. Contact us. You want us to talk about us? You want us to try to get a guest that we can. I mean, I'm not going to get anybody like, like Hulk Hogan. I mean, maybe Hulk Hogan will come on my podcast. So Hulk Hogan, if you want to come on my podcast, I got you, brother. I've ate my vitamins. I've said my prayers, and I've always remembered to bring the pain. But that's what it's about. It's about evolving and making things better. And that's what I want the chance to do for all of you. I want that when this football season is done, and of course, I know that my numbers will go down a little bit because a lot of that is in seasonal fantasy football content, DFS content, betting, things like that. I know that those numbers will go down, but I'm trying to also reach out to all of you and say, hey, I will going to be talking about a lot of different topics coming up. I'm not going to stop with the podcast every week. I'm right now working with a lot of podcasters in Erie to try to get together a podcast meetup so that the podcasters in Erie don't feel so alienated. It's really weird because there is a lot of Erie podcasts, but at the same time, it's almost like Idiotville, which is one of the more popular ones, and mine, nationally, one of the more popular ones. And then, of course, in the video game market with the Messengers of Video Game VGM Journey, that right there all tells you that the foundation is started. And that is what in where we want to go into the future. We want to build on that foundation, make that house for Erie, and to keep building and make all of you happy and listen to more and engage more. Like, follow, share. Look, that's all it takes. Just one comment, one like. Tell your friends. You don't have to do any of that. If you're listening already, again, I thank you 100%. It has been an amazing year to do all of the content for Dr. Roto for all of you, to come up with crazy little terms like catwalk, Jimmy G, and to talk about coffee and learn about, missionary work, to going into the future and learning that I was given a supporters only part of my podcast, that I qualified for that in hopes that I can get more podcasts out there that will make everybody else come to Planet Painbringer, so that we can all learn how to bring the pain together from the almighty Painbringer. Ooh, yeah. And just remember, I don't always have to shout. I don't always have to be aggressive when I talk. My interviews, they're always good, and that's what you're always going to get. Promise, 100. I will make sure that you leave every single interview with knowledge you did not know about before that interview took place. Woo, people, have a happy new year. Let's start off 2024 the same way we started off and ending 2023. And that's how we bring the pain. Woo! Stay safe, everybody. And as always, may the cheers be with you. Yeah.